We had to wait 8 years. I waited nearly 8 years to get into it. So it's exciting just for that sense, just getting into something that you've been trying to get in and qualify for every year.
I sat there for a minute and was like, man, I've been back and forth across this trail a bunch of times in training.
Yeah.
I can go back it one more time.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the most exciting finishes I ever had. Like that last mile in, I was like almost sobbing.
Yeah.
And like
things are always torn down and like history is like kind of forgotten about. I don't want that to happen with running. So I think it's important to, keep those kind of roots and traditions alive.
He ran that twice with me. He saw me 3 times. So the other times too, like he's running with me. He's got his Ironman suit on because it's the Halloween race.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Everyone cheering him on, like seeing his face light up, like running across that finish line and then turning around, him running into me. Like that, I was extremely emotional at the end of that race. Hey everybody, welcome to the Born to Tint Podcast with the Miller Brothers. Excited to be here for another episode with my big brother, Josh.
how's it going, everyone? Super excited for today's guest. We have Joshua Eddy with Desert Dash Trail Running, local running legend, and he's running Western States this year, which is the race Ricky's trying to get into. So check out this conversation. We mostly talk about running, but check it out.
Yeah, local guy does that.
I really wanted one. I really did want one, but it is what it is,
Pirate Monkey. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, I ended up learning plenty lessons from that race. And,
Was that your first 100K?
First 100K, but I'd already done 200 milers before that.
Oh, which ones?
Red Rock, Rocky Raccoon.
Oh, cool.
That was my first one. I did that in 21. And then in 22, I did Tahoe.
Oh, Tahoe.
Tahoe.
Oh,
and
wow.
then,
Was that when it was looped? Oh, 22 is when they started at the bottom and you guys ran up, huh? Oh, sick.
Yeah.
How was that? Tough?
The up wasn't bad. It was nice. It was coming back down, being on the side of the mountain exposed the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, my watch, which was supposed to be 40 hours, died, or it was about to die, about 33 hours in. I didn't take into account, how much I was probably fiddling with it, and then the cold, too, sapping the battery.
Yeah.
So at mile, it was supposed to be 96, but I think it was 96, but they were like, oh, it's running like, I think it was running out 104 miles. Yeah. So leaving
That's
that
always brutal. You're like 100 miles in your head all day and like, oh no, you have 8 miles more to go.
Oh, like in my mind, I was like, it's right there. It's only this many more miles. Like, no, it's like running 104. I'm like, cool. Yeah. Which everyone was already saying, like, that this is how this race runs.
Yeah.
Just don't even think 100. It's going to be at least 102 to 104. Just deal with it. And I'm like,
Right.
Cool. But not having a watch from that station to the next aid station, talk about, that was probably one of the more mentally tough things I had to go through because I didn't know my pacing.
Yeah.
And it's like, at least I know if I'm going 20, if I'm at like 20 minutes a mile, I know my pacing at least.
Yeah.
So I can kind of anticipate when the aid station's gonna come. Every time I would crest a turn on the mountain, I'm like, it's gonna be right there. And then I just see a big turn into the mountain and another one where I can't see beyond it. I'm like, okay, get to that point, same thing. And then like, I think by the third or fourth one, all of a sudden out in the distance, I see the tent. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now.
Dude, that's what I felt like when we did the Area 51. Did we do it 2 or 3 times?
Did that, I think three times.
Okay, whatever the last time we did it.
Yeah.
2 times.
Is that Joyce's race?
Yeah.
I wasn't in. I
Either
knew
time.
I hadn't run enough to like really be in shape for it. We were just doing the 51K, right?
Yeah.
But it's an out and back.
Yeah.
And then you're coming back down that hill as the sun's coming up in the morning, which is like almost like a scene out of Forrest Gump. It's like awesome.
Yeah.
You just have like the
Just
like
running.
flat. You're
Scene
on 2 lanes.
Yeah.
The sun's coming up. You're in the desert. It's like, oh, this is awesome. But I hit a wall hard where I was walking and like couldn't get myself to even jog because I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
And he finished way before me. And every time I saw a car coming up the road, I'm like, please be Ricky. Please be Ricky. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm
I
done.
just
I'm
wanna
done.
stop.
It's not him. And then I keep going. And then finally he comes like walking back towards me with just like a mile or 2 to go. And I'm just like, all right, I'm finishing now, but I hate you. I've been every car that's drove by for the last hour, I've been hoping was you because I was ready to quit.
Yeah. That's something to think about at least,
I was sitting in the car like I didn't want to fall asleep because I'm like, oh, I want to see him finish. So like I was sitting in the car, like rest for a second, and I'd pop up and then I'd go find something to eat. And so I was like, what the hell? Like, I left you at, I forget what
We
mile.
were pretty close together most of the time.
Most of it, so I didn't think it would be like that far off.
I crashed hard.
Yeah.
It's I'm not doing any more ultras on asphalt.
No.
How much of
That's
Western
brutal.
is on asphalt?
That's like 4 miles. I think.
Okay, it's only
Yeah.
a little section.
Yeah.
That's
not much
good.
at all.
Yeah,
It's mainly down, like single track, and hot.
Oh.
That's what I'm kind of worried about. I live in the desert, but still, it's like it's hard for me. So
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of heat training and stuff.
What
Much
what
as
are,
I can.
what are you at volume wise right now?
So I'm like up to like 10, 11 hours. And I'm
Okay.
trying to get into that like 16 to 19 range because I want to kind of push it and see if I can do something like a 20 hour. So I want to
Hell
do a
yeah.
couple 20-hour weeks just to get that on my legs.
Nice.
So hopefully not this week, next week actually should be somewhere around 16, and then the week after that I hope to like get into that higher range because I'm gonna go up and do that camp, the 3-day camp.
Oh,
You guys know
yeah.
about the camp?
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Oh, that's cool.
And they take you out, drop you off. You
Do
run 30
different
miles the
sections.
first day. They bring you back. Then you run 20 miles the next day, and then 20 miles the next day. So it's like this big. You do all the tough sections too, like down in the canyon and the
Yeah.
heat and stuff. So you get like a taste.
That's got to be one of the most beneficial things you could do.
so.
Get to go
Yeah.
train on the course. And
Part of
learn
me
the
says that
course.
I don't want to see it because I like to like keep like I don't look at courses and stuff because I just
Yeah.
kind of want it to be a surprise because I have problems with like monotony and stuff, you know. But with Western states, you know, it's you want to see it. You know, I want to know as much as I can.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm looking. Obviously, that's the one I'm hunting down too. And every time they do that damn raffle,
Yeah.
they how they start. They'll start with ticket count, get my hopes up, and it's like 4 tickets. I'm like,
yeah.
And they say some other state or some other country. I'm like, nope. And then, or they have like, I think when they announced when they pulled yours, they said Las Vegas. I'm like, oh,
Henderson.
yeah, Henry. And yeah, they said, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
And then they said how many tickets. I'm like, nope, that's not me.
Yeah.
And I don't have
How
that
many tickets
yet.
did you have?
16. I think.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, but I lost tickets because you know how you lost them before like pandemic. Is that when they started to let you
Yeah.
hang on to them even if you missed a year? So I got sick in 2017, so I lost all my previous tickets. So I started over in 2018.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. So
Oh.
I had a bunch going into
Oh
it.
my! So how many years prior to that were you?
Like seriously, the end of 2015 and 20. So I qualified in 2015, 2016, 2017. I got sick, so I only had a couple of years in there.
Yeah.
But I mean that's cumulative too, you know. So I would have had a lot more by the
Yeah.
time I got picked, but I got picked, so whatever.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. You're not expecting to get it out, you know. I was.
Yeah.
This is the one year though that I actually had it on. Like I don't even normally watch it, you know. And some people like go to like lottery parties and stuff.
Yeah.
No, forget that. So I was just like sitting at home and I actually had it on, just like looking on Facebook, you know. And then I heard, and it was like getting towards the end, and I'm like, you know, whatever. What are we gonna do today, sort of thing. And yeah, it just passively came up. I'm like, what? I had to rewind it, you know. I'm like, for real? Yeah,
Oh, no.
that was cool.
No, when I saw your name get called, I'm like, I know him. This
That's
is
cool.
awesome.
That
Hell
was
yeah,
cool.
let's go.
I was freaking after that. That was neat. That's cool because I mean it's Western states and a lot of veterans and stuff. They're like, it's an easy 100-miler and this and that. These guys have run it twice, you know, maybe 3 times. A lot of
Yeah.
these guys, a lot of the guys, you know, that ran it, you know, before all the popularity, you know. But the rest of us were just coming into the sport when they had already run it a couple times,
Yeah.
and then we had to wait 8 years. You know, I waited nearly 8 years to get into it. So it's exciting just for that sense, you know, just getting into something that you've been trying to get in and qualify for every year.
Yeah,
The history behind it's so crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
even the name of the podcast is Born to Tint because I read the book Born to
Born,
Run in
yeah.
2000 and
That inspired like almost every trail runner, right?
2010,
Yeah.
and I was like, what?
That's badass.
That's
Reading about Scott Jurek
that- yeah,
covering his light,
yeah.
you know, going up. And
So
yeah.
my first attempt at 100K was Javelina 100, and
Oh,
Scott
cool.
Jurek was there running it.
Oh, sick.
And oh my God,
man.
Ann Trayson was there.
Uh-huh.
It I was just like
Did
a
you
kid in a
meet
candy
Scott Jurek there?
Yeah,
Dude, were you surprised how big he is?
yeah.
He is a humongous
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, he's tall.
Dude, I met him at a signing once, and I read about him before, and you know, maybe I just didn't see it. Maybe I had never saw him before that, but he was like, oh my God, you did all these incredible times. This is a huge guy. You normally
Yeah.
don't see someone that big like running like that. It's crazy.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
Because all the guys are fast now. Like, I have Javelina last year because that was my qualifier last year was Javelina.
Yeah.
And that was a fun run. That was a very fun run.
I pay some folks out there.
Were you out there?
Cool. Well,
Oh, wow.
like I don't know, 2018. I
2018,
think.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was they know how to throw. I mean, that was a fun event.
Yeah.
And we
they-
got to join up with a big group of people
Yeah,
from Vegas.
cool.
Mia,
Oh, Maya. Depp?
Maya was
there.
she was what'd she run?
she ran the 100K.
She ran the 100K.
100K hard too. She finished
Ryan-
like third. She was up in the top of the
She-
pack
I
for the
think she's
females.
like I think she might have been fifth or third, one of the two.
Yeah.
Nice.
She passed us.
She crushed
a
it.
couple
She's a
times.
beast, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
really
no,
good runner.
watching her get pulled last year for Western States, same thing. Like, she got pulled. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've ran with her. She's dusted my ass numerous times.
She definitely deserved it for sure. She
Yeah.
was in for a long time too.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of understanding the fact that, with the popularity spike, thankfully, I think I squeaked my way in just before the huge spike.
Yeah.
To where I saw the drop off in tickets really hits in year 4. That's
Yeah.
when you see it go from like 1,100 all of a sudden it's like 500 people.
Yeah.
And then past that, obviously, it almost halves everything through. But, I first was thinking, all right, maybe 3 to 5 years. Now I look at the numbers, I'm like,
Yeah.
5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
I'll be happy if I get pulled in 5 to 8 years. Like,
Right.
but that's definitely, I want that buckle. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't even getting into ultras. He was bugging the piss out of me about it. And I just want to do marathons. Like,
Okay.
he got me back into running the first.
So you guys were both doing marathons before?
Nah, I've only run one, and then I ran Born to Run, and I'm like, started running 25K. I ran Bandera, 25K was the first trail run I
Why
ever ran.
Bandera? Like,
I
why
lived in Texas at the time.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so I was in the military, and that's when I read Born to Run.
Yeah.
I did a half marathon at Fort Hood, which was like the first anniversary of the Fort Hood shooting. 1,300 people, or 13 people died. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
did a half marathon, and each mile marker they had like either friends or family of the people that died with a picture of them as like little mini aid stations throughout it.
whoa.
That was the furthest that I ever run, and I was like, we don't run far in the Army, like maybe 4 miles.
Yeah.
So I was running like a
You're
12
running,
minute
boots and like
yeah, I was running a
half
2-minute or a 12-minute 2-mile at the time because I just become an NCO and I was taking PT serious.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's go run it. And then I ran like a 1:45 and was like, oh, that was kind of fun, and couldn't
Yeah.
walk for a week because I did no volume. Like I was on no
went out there and
volume.
just ran it,
Just
yeah.
went and ran.
Right.
But then when I went to get shoes to run the Austin Marathon, which I was like, now I got to do a marathon. So I signed up for the Austin Marathon,
that?
which was still Live Strong.
Yeah.
Still knew nothing about training, did not get my volume up high enough. I think I finished in like 4 hours something. And,
Okay.
faster
walked
than what mine
walked
was.
a lot at the end. But that was like when I got new running shoes at REI, and the guy at REI was like, oh, you got to read this book, Born to Run.
Yeah.
And I read that while training
okay.
for the marathon, and then that was a miserable experience, and was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna go hit the trails. That sounds
Yeah.
like a lot more fun and like a lot less injury, and the whole theory in Born to Run about getting off hard surfaces and
Yeah.
run more in nature just seemed to make sense to me. So ever since then, I've always enjoyed the trails. Like McCullough Trail in Henderson is my go-to. I'm on that trail. If I can be, that's where I'm gonna go run.
Yeah. Where do you normally start, on the Mission side or?
Now I do. I used to start on the Anthem side
Oh, okay.
when we lived in Seven Hills, but now I live like in between the two, and I prefer the Mission side better.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're weak. You don't want to start with all the elevation gain.
Well,
Start being a baby.
there's still decent climb the first 2.5 miles, 3 miles of the Mission side.
I know that.
Yeah. And the mountain bikers are making so many trails out there. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of single track. Out
And
there.
that's
It's
I'm kind of
crazy how much
boring.
seeing is going out there.
Yeah.
When I was training for the Tahoe, I was really exploring back there, and I did not realize how many trails they cut in
Dude,
back
it
there.
doesn't end like
Yeah.
everywhere.
What's crazy is I'm boring. I just stay on the main route. Like I
Yeah.
see all the
I do too,
turnoffs. I
usually.
haven't really ever gone and explored any of them.
Yeah.
Maybe I will this summer with my daughter a little bit.
They're
But the
fun.
Henderson Trail Classic was the first anything over 50K I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so you did that big out and back.
Yeah.
Did you do the year that we had that storm?
No, but it was hot. It was like
okay.
100, and like half the people that started didn't finish. And
It's-
there was an ambulance
'Cause we
sitting
did it like
on the
around this time, I think.
Yeah, there was an ambulance sitting on the Anthem side
Yeah.
that people were stopping at and getting inside of it because it had AC on. And
Mm-hmm.
like after you went up the Black Mountain side and came back to it is where a lot of people were dropping.
Yeah.
I sat there for a minute and was like, man, I've been back and forth across this trail a bunch of times in training.
Yeah.
I can go back it one more time.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the most exciting finishes I ever had. Like that last mile in, I was like almost sobbing.
Yeah.
And like that was a fun race.
It's tough. It doesn't look hard, but Anthem East is tough.
Yeah.
When you're doing out and back on that, it's
Yeah.
hard because you're going down those big things. and
Yeah,
back
that
up. There's a lot
side of
vert
it
there.
sucks.
It's hard.
No, I usually go, if I hit that trail, I hit it from the Anthem side because I live back in Inspirata. So if
Okay. Oh, I do too.
yeah, so like
I run the 101 like every day.
See, like I'm lazy. I run out. I go out my house, and I train mostly on during the week. I'll train mostly on pavement and sidewalk.
Okay.
Just because it just
Do you use the pass around there?
Yes.
Right on the pass?
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
And then I'll do Saturdays will be usually it's a trail day, and I'll go out there because that's my long run. I'm following one of Zach Bitter's
Oh.
plans.
Oh, cool.
I bought one of his general purpose. Like I have like this 24-week one. I have a 16-week one, just depending on when I'm starting. Right now, I'm in the middle of the 24-week one because I'm going back to Tahoe again.
Oh, cool.
it's
You're going
only-
to do the 100 again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gotta get that qualifier.
Have they, is it the same course now? Are they going to continue with going up and doing the loop in the coming
Yes, but they cut a new single track on the way back down.
Oh, okay.
So it won't be the.
So it's like kind of a loop?
I think so. So instead of, because on the way down last time in 22, it was a utility road.
Yeah.
That's like just
Yeah.
just on this, and it was just it
It
was
was like a lollipop, right? You went
Yeah.
out, you did a big loop, and then you came back. Sort of.
yeah. You went up into the mountains. You went around up the actual rim trail. You looped one area. You came back down. You looped it one more time, and then when you came back from that, then you hit down. You went down the mountain. So there were two sections that you looped that you saw twice, and the one horrible section was I think it's like 1 mile and 1,800 feet of elevation gain. You go up it seems like it's a black diamond slope, but they're like, no, it's only intermediate. And like you're
Oh, at
looking
the bottom of the ski resort back there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I've done the 50, and I did it when it was just 2 loops of that 50 course. I don't know why they changed that. Was there because of a fire or something?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
But yeah, the 1 loop was enough. You know, I was like, dude, I don't know if I would go back on this again. But
Oh, it's the one thing everyone was talking about when I was there, because I asked them, like, what's the worst part? Like going to the red cabin, which I was like,
yeah,
I understood why it sucked. Getting down there, it was rocky, but like,
Yeah.
if you run in our hills, like
yeah, it was pretty much.
that's just what we run. Like it's what we run in. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is just business as usual.
Yeah.
And then like it was hot. I'm like, well, I was training. I knew that's one thing I kept hearing is that the heat. Don't let the heat get to you. So I was training in the heat as much as I possibly could. So
Yeah.
I was as adapted as I possibly could.
Did it
And then-
work? Did he bother you at all? Or? No?
No, not really. It wasn't me. The one thing I took from doing my first 100 to the second was if I had an issue, address it.
Yeah.
You have the
Oh, yeah,
time.
right away.
Yeah. So like I was going down into that loop around the red cabin. I had 2 shirts on at the time because we started early enough to where I had a long sleeve and a short sleeve on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was starting to rub wrong.
Yeah.
And like I was going and I was like, when I get back to the aid station, and then I thought about it. Nope.
Yep.
I stepped to the side. I took the shirt off.
Yeah.
We went to my t-shirt, and I was like, good call.
That's probably what changes most as you learn, as you get more experience, is that you attack things right away. Because that's what you do at first. You're just like, no, I mean, I'm almost there. I'm almost to the next aid station or something like that. But then you get to the aid station, you forget again, or something else comes up. And then
Yep.
before you know it, yeah, things are falling apart.
Oh, apply anti-chafe cream
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah.
That was another thing I pulled from my first to my second. And I mean, from the first one, the Rocky Raccoon, I overtrained so bad because I tried to get into one in 2020. One up in Northern California happens in November. Oh shit, it's gonna come to me. But I signed up for it. It was a wait list, and they didn't know if they were gonna get past permits. And of course, California was completely shut in 2020, so they
Oh,
just
yeah.
canceled the race.
Oh.
So that's where I found the Rocky Raccoon in the beginning of 21. It was in Texas. I'm like, oh, Texas isn't gonna shut this
Yeah.
down. They're definitely gonna do this one.
Yeah.
So I
We're
went.
talking about Rio.
Rio, yes,
Rio de Lago.
yes,
yeah.
Rio de
Yeah,
Lago.
I almost did that one. Too.
Yeah, which that's definitely one I want to do eventually.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
it was like, all right, so I stopped looking at anything in California. I was looking at any other state, and I saw Texas, saw Rocky Raccoon, and I was like, a loop 5 times?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That
Yeah, and
sounds
it's
like
flat. Yeah. It's pretty
yeah,
flat.
but the roots suck.
Yeah. It's like, I hear it's pretty
At
gnarly.
night they
Yeah.
get you. They reach up and grab your ankles and pull
Yeah.
you down.
Oh, I understood the comment of like roots that feel like they reach up and grab your feet, and like, oh my god, how many people I watch them just
Just eat it.
eat it, just all the kick. I thought I broke my toe numerous times by kicking them, and like my right foot, the top of my right foot was numb for about 3 months.
Really?
And like at first I'm like, I don't feel that. And like there was no pain. It wasn't hindering anything. And it's like, well, I just got done running 100 miles. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be in pain. And like it took a good 3 months for the feeling in that foot to come back.
Yeah.
The worst part of that was so I paced in the last 40 miles. It was pretty sick though. Like it was like almost like the David Goggins story at like mile 70 something, aid station.
Yeah.
I joined him. He's 60 miles in, and the sun's going down, and the temperature dropped
Yeah.
crazy fast. And we were massively underprepared, not enough cold weather gear on,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden we're walking, and it's dropping down into the 30s, and it's we
It
get to
gets
that
that cold?
It
Yeah.
got
Oh my
it got into the low 30s, and
Yeah.
it was miserable. Well, luckily, I was able to run from that aid station off to the road where his wife met me with the little bit of cold weather gear we did have back at the main campsite.
Yeah.
And eventually get him going. And like, here, take my jacket, let's go. And walked it out, kept going. But he was like, I'm done, I'm quitting a couple times from there to the next aid station to get out again to start the last loop. But as soon as the sun came up in the morning, and it's like there's 11 miles to go, and he knew he had enough time to get it and get the qualification, he running like nothing was ever wrong. And it was like, whoa, this is insane. This is the power of the mind. Like,
it's amazing how you could just be like at the bottom. You know, like, there's no way I could ever finish this. And then 5 miles later,
it
like,
was so cool to see that. And like, I wasn't in shape to rerun in 40 miles, but luckily we walked a lot. And it was like, there's no way that I'm going to be the one to bail out on this after he's already 60 miles ahead of me. I'm like, so mentally it was that was the furthest I'd ever gone before at that time. Was like, I was like, all right, I'm cool with that.
Dude, speaking of Javelina, I paced, I think this was like 2019, I paced a buddy out there, and he wanted to go fast. Like, I think he did like 18 or 19 or something like that, but he was going fast, and he wanted me to come out for the last loop to like really push him. I had to poop so bad, dude, for 20 miles. And I had that same feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to totally disappoint this guy, you know, but I just like held it for 20. Good thing he ran the whole thing and I was able to push him, you know, but that was scary.
No, the being underprepared with the cold gear, because I was already running out here where it was, I mean, we were 38 degrees in the middle of the night, and like I was running in just shorts, no shirt, nothing. Did not take in consideration that I'd be going at a snail's pace, and I'm not going to be able to warm my body up. So what jacket I had was like a paper thin windbreaker. Yeah. And like I think we sat at that aid station for like at least an hour, and then he eventually was like, "What's going to get you up?" I said, "Give me your jacket." He had one of his army jackets on. Gave me his jacket, and I was like, "Oh shit, I got to get up now." Got up, got going. In my head, I was like, "I'm getting to 80 miles. I'm done." Like I just ran 80 miles. Like it kind of in my mind, I was rationalizing like it's the furthest distance I've ever ran. Yeah, I'll deal with it, because I also thought that the cutoff time was 30 hours. Okay. So I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, I got to go out and do this last loop about an hour and a half faster than this last one, and I'm smoked right now. Like I don't think it can be done. Like, so it's like, why am I going to crush myself to like, I won't qualify. Like all I'm trying to get out of this was to qualify. That's all I was focused on. Yeah. They finally got me up and out of the finish line to start that last loop. And we passed like one or two different people on it.
It's still night, and this is before you have
this is just when the sun is like, in about 30 minutes we were going to see the sun come up, to where it was starting to get like a little bit lighter outside.
But it's the coldest part.
Oh,
yeah, before that sun comes up, and like as it comes up, oh my God.
We passed a couple people, and that's the one thing I love. I mean, I've now fallen in love with the running community, is the culture of like the couple people that we did pass. Yeah. They're like, as I'm about to turn around, like, don't do it. You're gonna regret the shit out of this. Like, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and just go to the next aid station. Chop it up. Go to the next aid station. So as I got to the first one, and the same thing, I kept telling myself, like, after this aid station, they're gonna have to drive me out of here. I'm done. Yeah. And got to that one, and then made it to the next one. Yeah. As soon as that sun hit, that's the best feeling in the world. Yeah. When you're going through the night like that, and all of a sudden that sun hits you in the morning. Right. And then like I started doing the math in my head. I'm like, all right, I got to hold a 12 minute pace. I think I was at mile 90. Like, I hold 12 minutes. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but then I started holding it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I finished like just underneath 30 hours. Really? On the drive, I went from, because I went to stay with some friends up in Dallas after that. On the drive, I pulled up the race cutoff times. It was 32 hours. Oh, so I had 2 more hours. I could have melted out, but I was able to get past that hump and get through it. But like every single one of these races that I've done, what you pull from each race is priceless. For sure. Absolutely priceless.
Yeah, you think all the people that, I mean, not just ultra runners, but when thinking about everybody that don't go beyond that, you know, the uncomfortableness that you can get yourself in. They never see what's beyond that. That's a shame. You know?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big draws to me, is like, especially like you talk to somebody who's been in it for a while, like yourself, like how many years you've gotten entries to Western states and now you're finally doing it. It definitely helps you grow the ability to be a little bit more patient and look further, and just that growth that comes out of it as a practice. Like you get the instant gratification of being out on a long run and getting into that flow and just like everything just kind of slips away and you're just not thinking about anything, especially out in nature. That's why I like the trail runs. That's like what you get in the short term, but the long term, like shift in perspective of everything is just like, it's incalculable.
For sure.
So what got you into ultras? How long have you been doing it? And I know your brother's involved. And
It's not my buddy Rob.
oh, okay.
That you're talking about the other owner of Desert Dash.
Okay,
we did
yeah.
that together. Yeah, it's my buddy. Actually, when I got into ultra running, that's where I met him, and I
Okay.
just started running his races. Like I think you guys did too. You guys were probably running them at that time.
Yeah.
Like this was like 2014.
See, like I wasn't doing. I didn't get into running until I did my first. My son was born in 2018. While the first night I was holding him, I signed up for my first marathon. It was running with the devil.
Oh, nice.
And that was,
cool.
he had been talking about ultra so much.
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, you shut up. I just want to do the marathon.
Yeah.
Within training for that marathon, finally signing up for it, and that I've always been the type of person, if I sign up and I pay money, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So I put the training in, got the training. I was overweight at the time, and thankfully I was able to use it as. Ended up losing a bunch of weight. I used to weigh 238 pounds.
Oh.
And running is definitely, at first it was like, I want to eat what I want. So if I'm training, I ran, say 30 miles in a week, 40 miles a week. I didn't feel guilty. But then I started like, I want to get faster. Cleaned out my diet. But after that first marathon, what got me was when I was going out, when we were coming back on that, to finish my marathon, I was running next to a guy, which I wish I would have talked to. I regret it dearly. Older gentleman, was probably in his 70s, and just kind of scooting along. I mean, so was I at the time. It was the first time going that distance.
Yeah.
And I looked at his bib, and he was doing the 50K. So he crossed the finish line, went to his go bag, grabbed some stuff, and went back out. And at that time, I couldn't fathom going back out again. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to know what that feels like now. And I'd listened to Born to Run. I'd listened to Goggins, and like that was the little push I needed. I was down the rabbit hole. From there, I went to the 51K at Area 51, and then I went to did the Trail Trashed. That was my first 50 miler in 2019, and then from there, Beatty Backyard.
That's
cool.
a fun event.
I did my
That's a
first
fun
100K. I was third. I finished third. I think that was the second year you guys ran it. I finished third in that year.
Actually, you DNF, sir.
Everyone DNFs.
Anyone
I know.
Except for one guy.
Yeah, so I went out, and that one, I went out on my last loop, and I timed out, which it was, I tweaked my ankle. I think I tweaked my ankle. And again, it was one of those things where I definitely found the reason to slow myself down to be like, oh, I didn't make it.
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep now, damn it.
Yeah.
But that was my first technical hit in the 100K distance was that. And then from there, I went to Rocky Raccoon. So I just amped up each one. I just wanted to, all right, 50K, 50 miler, 100K. And then I've just been obsessed with getting qualifying runs in. I find one every year, get in it, and just got to get my qualifier. Like Westerns, I want that belt buckle.
Yeah.
Like it will go right here when I'm done because Rocky Raccoon,
Oh, cool.
Tahoe, buckle here, and then Javelina just got added.
Nice.
To where now I'm saving that part of my leg to where when I'm done, I've run all my qualifiers. Any other qualifier I run will go on this leg, and then whenever if I get the chance to do Western States, and if I'm lucky enough to finish it,
Top.
let's go around the top.
Why
of
not
that.
Hard Rock?
Oh no,
Why not
it's
Hard Rock on the top?
well. See, like
or UTMB, right?
Yeah,
but like, I like
that looks crazy.
Leadville. I never thought about I ever would want to run Leadville, but the more and more I listen to Dean Carnass, listen to him talk about it, or any other person talk about that race, I'm just like, all right, I get it now. I want to do Leadville. I want to do Hurt 100. Definitely want to do a Hurt 100.
Yeah.
UTMB, I would love to go over there and do that.
Yeah.
Like, and now I'm just,
So beautiful.
I'm just
That's
so like down the rabbit hole of like, I don't think there'll be a year that I don't do a 100-mile race.
Yeah. What are you doing? Did you do your qualifier yet this year?
No, that'd be the Tahoe.
Oh, okay.
Tahoe's going to be, which right now I actually have the problem of I need to actually get my hours in of maintenance. Otherwise,
I could help you with that.
Well, I was going to ask you after we were done with the podcast because for some reason the last time I did this, I waited till the last minute like a dumbass and barely got it in. So I know I need to start actually looking now because I know I gotta get it turned in. Shit, actually, I only have a month. I gotta turn that in the beginning of June.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
When is that race in July? Like late
July?
Oh wow!
July, which I'm pretty certain when I ran it in 22 it was in June.
Okay.
And now it's in July.
Keep moving it back.
18th.
Okay.
So yeah, no, so I gotta do that. But no, I'm excited to go back up to Tahoe. It was such a fun race. It's so beautiful up
I
there.
love that area, yeah.
Yeah, and I have the tendency to, which other thing, like, because he paced me my first 100-miler. I have the tendency, any person who usually paces me, I'm usually having them run the longest distance they've ever run
Yeah.
in their life. Like, he paced me, he ran, it was his first 40-miler. In Tahoe, I had two friends that, like, I had told them that I needed paces, and like, yeah, we're in. And they're like, oh, you're training. Off the couch, ran 30 miles in the middle of the night. And then the other person,
The one guy did?
Yeah, my one buddy did.
Yeah.
And then his, which is like pretty much like a sister, his wife, she started the last 20 miles, which is you start with that long ass climb again. That's the beginning of it. So I made the time. I ditched him, unfortunately. As I was going, like, I was looking at my time. I was like, he knew I needed to be in by 8 o'clock. He goes, dude, if you get going, don't worry about me.
Yeah.
I'll find my way back. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I got going, got to where I needed to get to before I timed out. Ate real quick, and then she's like, I'll walk you up the hill pretty much, because that's not a run, that's a walk. Right. Walked up that hill, and then she was like, I'll just go to the next aid station. I'm like, you know that's in the middle of the mountains, right? Like, if you do that, like, you're finishing with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah. Same thing, off the couch, ran 20 miles. I was just like, holy shit, people.
Are they still running now?
She's actually getting ready. They're going to be my pacers again for this upcoming run.
Oh, cool.
So she wants to take the same 20 miles.
Have they not done any running since?
No, they actually started. They just did a half marathon. I think it's called Holy Hell, half marathon up there. Okay. And she's like,
oh, they live in that area?
Yeah, he. That's where I wasn't worried about necessarily him. He had been a long distance runner he did cross country in high school, and out of high school, his brother was a runner. Like, so he'd been up in the mountains. He lived up. He lives on the North Shore. Okay. He had lived and grew up on the North Shore of Tahoe, so I wasn't too worried about him. But still, like, off the couch, I'm gonna go do 30 miles.
Yeah.
In Tahoe, I was like, dude, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah,
and like, well, you're already 50 miles in.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is that effect of being out there, and the fact that you've already ran 50 miles gives that person zero excuse to say, ooh, my legs hurt. It's like, oh, your legs hurt?
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's nice. I'm on mile 60 right now.
Yeah.
There's some real hurt right there. And then Javelina was this past year. We ran it together. We were running it together, and then he timed out on the fourth loop.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was my first 100K, though. That's the other thing is, like, I know enough about how much you should be training and all of that. It made it really easy to get in my head.
Yeah.
Like, the mile 40 to 60, whatever, to finish the 100K was like, we were cruising. Like, this is awesome. This is easy. We stayed at the main aid station way too long.
Yeah.
And I let myself get all stiff.
Down at the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And by the time we go to start that fourth loop, I'm so stiff I can barely walk.
Yeah.
And going to the very first aid station, I'm getting passed by people that are walking.
Oh, no.
And like every time I even try to speed up a little bit, I was just in the pain cave bad.
Oh, man.
And then by the time I finally made it to that aid station, I just was looking at the time the whole way in and realizing, like, okay, I've got to run like 10-minute miles, the last 15 miles of this loop, just to be able to start another 20-mile loop. And I can't even walk right now. Yeah. And it was getting cold.
Yeah.
And I was in communication with him that he was good and was going to finish the loop in time to start the next one. And he's the one on the hunt for Western right now, not me.
I'm just going to chill here.
I was just like, but all the people in the aid station were doing everything they could to talk me in to keep going. And I was just like, I've already decided I'm done, guys.
Done.
Like,
were you good with that decision?
I mean,
it's easy.
Yeah.
In the
moment,
it's
I was
easy at races like that because you're already right there. If you're like out at a remote aid station, they're like, hey, it could be like 4 hours.
Yeah, they even got me a ride back into the tent to go lay down and sleep. When I laid down on the cot and was asleep while he was still out there running, I was totally happy with it.
You're like, I'm good.
Yeah, but the drive home and seeing him finish, I was definitely like,
you're going to do it again this year?
Maybe. I'm doing something this year. I need to find something to do. I've been running and training with my daughter. I've been chilling at like 2 to 4 hours on my Strava. Like, nice. I haven't been completely consistent.
More than what you were doing.
I pretty consistently throughout her track season. We've done, actually even at the end of cross country season up until track, every Sunday we go get 10 in on McCullough.
Oh, cool.
Like right after state championship for cross country, she took 13th in the state. So I was like, let's have some fun with this. Instead of doing 10 this Sunday, let's do a half marathon.
Yeah.
So she like put on her Strava like 13 for 13th. Like,
Yeah.
So I've been consistently at least getting in a 2-hour run every weekend, and then how much I get in throughout the week has been kind of shifting. But I'm finally like completely injury free. So getting ready for Javelina, I kept dealing with a calf issue that kept popping up, where I'd get my volume up and then I'd have a week of nothing.
Yeah.
And it was like I couldn't, and I've been kind of strict with myself on like don't increase more than 10% or I'm gonna get injured, and like because you see that all the time. Like I've even seen it watching her friends that are competing with her in cross country and track. Like anytime I'm watching any of their Stravas and I see some huge spike in volume, I'm like,
Get burned out.
and then it almost inevitably has a giant crash because of sickness or injury. So that's one thing I've been really strict with her. That's one thing that like she's got it. If you look at her Strava for the last year, it's been consistently, and then even once she got up to like 30, 40 mile range a week, about 5-6 hours is about her peak right now. She stayed in between that 4.5 and 6 hour zone pretty much the whole year.
Wow.
So she's been super consistent. Her Strava is almost a straight line. Like right now, because she's got regionals, she's tapered like the last week and a half, so it's kind of had a little bit of a dip, but that's intentional.
When is regionals?
Starts tomorrow.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
Nice.
so the
where do they hold it? Do they go to the different schools?
Yeah, so tomorrow starts at 1:00 at Shadow Ridge, and then Saturday is the finals for regionals at Liberty.
Oh, okay.
So Saturday morning is when the 3200, which she's not gonna run. She qualified for regionals for it, but rather than run herself through the ringer and run the 4x8, the 800, the 16, and the 32, she dropped herself from the 32 because she's got a teammate that's really strong on the 32 also. Yeah. And like the only 4 slots get to go to state. Okay. And she's like, and they make them run that the first event of the final day. Oh. So it's like run a hard 32 to maybe qualify for state for an event that she's got a much better shot at regionals and state in the 16 and the 8. Okay. So she kind of just dropped the 32. The finals for the 4x8 are tomorrow at 1. There is no like qualifier event. It's just like
goes right to the final.
Yeah, the final is the one event for the 4x8. Then she's got to do the 16 and the 8, but that's just to make it to Saturday. Yeah. And I think most of the competition in Southern Nevada is actually in the northern half of the valley. Yeah. So she won't see most of them until Saturday. So she should make it to
Can
Saturday.
Anybody get in there, or do you have to?
You got to qualify throughout the season.
You do.
Yeah, so I think the 1600 for the girls, you got to be under 540. Okay. And then for the 800, you got to be under 240 or 250. Wow. Something like that. So, but she ran a 512 in the 16, was her best time this season. Mm-hmm. And
so you can run that time throughout the season? If you hit that time, then
you're qualified? Once you hit it once throughout the season, you're qualified. Mm-hmm. And then she ran. She's got a 220 for the 800 right now. Nice. So, yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
All right, back to you getting into.
Yeah, we totally diverted.
Oh no, that's
start talking about us.
I'm more of a listener than a talker.
Ultra running. What got you into ultra running, and then beyond that, Desert Dash?
Yeah, I don't even remember what got me into ultra running. I think I started running, like. I kind of was still smoking, like in the 2010s, you know? And then I think I was around 30 or something, and I quit smoking, like for good. That was like the last time. And I was working from home, and I lived off Pittman Wash there. Mm. So I was just like, I probably need to run, like fix my lungs, you know? So I just started running up and down Pittman Wash, like in between jobs and stuff. And met a couple people that were also running on Pittman Wash, and like started running with them on trails and stuff, and like went through like the injury phase, you know. Like there's the first phase, I call it the born again Christian phase, you know. You know, like when you get so into it, you're like, oh, dude, everybody's got to do this thing.
Yeah, that was
like telling everybody. Yeah, I'm still kind of there because I think it's really powerful, But after that's the injury phase. You know, you like go into this phase where you're like, dude, you cannot catch a break because you're like hooked on this thing now, you know, and you really want to do it well. And you get to this point where you're like getting up there, you're like, yeah, and then you get injured and you're like, crashing.
Yeah.
So it's just that over and over. So I went through that, especially when I started, trail running, you know, because you fell in love just like you fell in love with it. And I just like spending a lot of time by myself, you know, in the middle of nowhere. I still love that. But it, you know, so just kept doing that for a long time. And then I think like with racing, you know, when my kids were born, I just, you know, you're just kind of maybe looking for other stuff to do. You know, you're at home all the time. So I found Desert Dash and started racing with those guys, and then wanted to get more involved because I got hooked on that. So I started timing their events and got to really know the Ericksons. Like the whole family like ran the company then. And you guys know went through 2 owners before that? Yeah, so there were like 2 owners before.
Oh,
The
no.
Ericksons bought it off of a previous owner. Those folks moved up to Oregon, but there was even an owner before that who actually started Desert Dash. I still have all of his old clippings. He was like an adventure race company. So they would do like mountain bike, roller skating, street bike, and then trail running. It would be like this event where they do the whole thing. It's really popular in Colorado, where they do like have that like rafting in there. They're like doing trekking, like
Oh,
doing this
that's
whole
cool.
thing. They have a whole team that does it. I think there's actually a movie out about it now. But that's what those guys did. And then he had a brain injury, and he had to sell the company. He moved, and another couple bought it. Then the Ericksons bought it, and then I started helping them out. And then Rob and I did it for a few years, and we brought in people, and it just it never really clicked between a bunch of people, you know. And then Rob started getting like kind of tired of it too, so I just kind of took it off his hands, and it's pretty much my wife and I that take care of like all of the behind the scenes stuff, right? Obviously, to throw a race, you need like the help of the community, so it's like that's like the biggest job is like getting help, you know. It's just always, you know, like you're like leaning on your friends, like, hey, can you come back out to this aid station? We're going to be there for 24 hours, you know, and maybe see like 5 people. You want to do that again? Oh, you don't? Okay. And they feel bad, you know, they're like, you know, Josh, I don't think so. Not this year. I'm like, yeah, I understand, dude. So it's like always trying to find, you know, new people, you know, get people excited about it. But yeah, we're pretty much doing it now. We started out, you know, I took a lot of the races that we were doing together with Desert Dash, started out with that, and did those the first couple years, added things like Beatty's Backyard Ultra, and then we started kind of branching out into our own things. That's when we started Red Rock, and now we're kind of moving away from the Blood, Sweat, and Beers thing and making more of like the bootlegger 50K, you know, because we really want to like touch back into the original, you know, kind of ultra running. And that's kind of where it started for me. I mean, I remember bootlegger 50K when I was like 16. You know, I remember guys out there, because I used to ride mountain bikes out there with my dad. And there was, and I don't know if it was a fat ass at the time. I don't think it was an organized race, but all I knew is that these guys were out there doing loops on this thing that I mountain biked. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Totally left that. Totally left my brain for probably a decade, you know, never thought about it again. But, you know, I started thinking about those things when we took over Desert Dash, and just kind of the importance, especially in a transient place like Vegas, you know, where things are always torn down and like history is like kind of forgotten about. You know, I don't want that to happen with running. So I think it's important to, you know, keep those kind of roots and traditions alive, you know. So that's why we're going to keep bootlegger in there, the 50K there, and then do this Red Rock thing, you know, because I think that's the 100-miler in Vegas is something that a few people have tried. We've done some loop things here. We have the Cornerstone Park thing where we're doing loops again, but to have like a big 100-mile event out here in Vegas we haven't had that.
And Red Rock makes the most sense, for sure.
Yeah.
What an iconic space.
Yeah, and even that, I mean, we don't have the real estate and the permittable trail to really get a solid, you know, like point-to-point type 100-miler, you know, so it's just like trying to figure out balance, like expectations with reality, you know, what you can do, you know, because we live in a place, I mean, even though we have 2.5 million people now, we have BLM folks and USFS folks that are not really caught up to the volume of people. You know, that's why we have people building illegal trails everywhere and things like that, because people are in need of recreation right now and space, and we have people that are in the place that can make that happen not doing that thing because they don't really specialize in that, right?
Yeah.
So these people haven't really caught up to our need yet. So a lot of it is just working with these folks to say, hey, these events happen all over the world. This is how they happen, you know, explaining it, going over it, you know, and just that slow progress. You know, it took Rob and I started the Red Rock. It was going to be a 100-miler right away, but we started that concept like way back in like 2015. Like we had belt buckles, the whole thing. It took from then, that's when I actually started working on it too, just the documentation and going through the operation plan. And so it wasn't until when you ran it that it actually like came to fruition in the 100K.
Yeah.
And we're still battling for the 100. So it's just, these things are like slow processes.
Does it seem like that'll happen in the next year?
It was supposed to happen this year. I had
Yeah.
it ready to go this year, and they just cut too much of the trail out. You know, they're just like, you can't use this. We have to wait next year for this and things like that. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it, because I'm not going to go through all that, spend all that money that we don't really have for 10 people to come out to a 100-miler that I'm not even really confident about.
Yeah.
And spend all that money supporting them out on the event when it's not even, you know, it's just not, it's not worth the time and the effort. It's not worth the runner's effort until it's like that thing.
So I know on the signs at Lake McCullough,
Yeah.
it's got like at the main, like when you're parked, it's got the signage saying that trail that they're building is supposed to eventually circle the whole valley, right? Like,
Yeah,
the
there was plans back. This is going
that
10
still
years
happening,
ago.
or
Yeah, this is going 10 years ago, where the trails in McCullough were supposed to eventually hook up with you. Do you guys know like the trails off Hualapai and Blue Diamond?
Yeah.
They call them the Ridge Trails. They're right
Yeah.
by the water park right there.
Yeah.
They were supposed to connect there. There's a whole bike park slotted for there. Those trails up there were all supposed to be part of a mountain bike park. They still are. I mean, it's still working out. But to answer your question, yeah, there's supposed to eventually be 100-mile link up around the entire valley.
I feel like once
that could be cool.
that would be
awesome.
around the whole valley. I mean, that would be epic.
Yep.
How many different shots of the valley are you gonna get
No
from the
doubt.
top?
There would
of
be a
some
lot
those
of
ridges?
road stuff in there,
Yeah.
but it would still. I would jump all over that.
I feel like that's the 100-miler that
would
will
be
end
cool.
up being.
I would.
But it's probably
100%.
still 10 years away, huh?
Dude, it's like, because no one's cohesively working together. That's what was so hard about doing Red Rock 100K, is that we worked with 6 different agencies to do that, and they refused to talk to each other. So I started like grouping them on group emails, and it just pissed them off, but they would not talk. So I would have to individually talk to each one of them, relay messages to each one. I'm like, no. So I started mass sending them out. You know, every time I wrote a message to one person in BLM, you know, in the Red Rock, I copied NDOT and everybody else on there too, you know, so everybody was, you know, so it was transparent, you know, and everybody had accountability. Everybody was on the communication chain, because before that, I just couldn't get anything done because they would just stall. Nobody would talk.
Do they have a reasoning for that? They just don't want. They just don't like.
They're just not. It's not a even though this is a recreation town. I mean, this is a climbing. This is one of the premier climbing spots in the world, right? This is a recreation place, but the infrastructure hasn't gotten that idea yet. So these people are not used. They don't have the processes set up to do these recreational events. So it really took, like, on a big part, it took a huge operation plan. It was like, my original operation plan was like 100 pages, because it was just, I had to go out and kind of learn the process and and they had to too, because they honestly had people in the position. They were supposed to be special recreation people, but they didn't actually know like how to permit, say, like this stretch of trail that I want to use, or this town, or this park. They didn't know how to do it in those things. So we had to write it up an operation plan, like how it would work, and then we would have to like just kind of spitball with these folks, and they would have to go to their boss and his boss, like, how do we do this? Like, what about this? What about that? It was like that, especially with Red Rock BLM, but with the other ones as well, you know? So it's just, I think now, over the last 4 years, I mean, the pandemic, we kind of went through a slow phase there, but after the pandemic, we got a lot of good folks in both USFS and Red Rock BLM, and they're coming along now. And now it's not only me, it's the mountain bike companies, you know, Downhill Mike, he's doing events out there. They have a new chain smoker bike event that's out there now. So there's a lot of events, and it's more of like a process streamline thing now. So it's cool.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So is that kind of what spurred stuff like Beatty?
Yeah.
Was just kind of.
Yeah, because you couldn't do anything here.
Yeah.
So, and then Dave Spicer's like, he's been asking us to come out to that ranch forever. And he's like a super cool guy.
Such a cool guy. We got to meet him while we were leaving,
Yeah.
and we talked to him for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That dude's awesome.
He's like a storybook character, dude. He's
Yeah.
a really cool guy. Big presence,
Yeah.
both physically and metaphorically. But yeah, I want to do that again. It's just a time. It's just
That'll
like putting the
be
time to
honestly
do
the
that.
next time
I
that
will.
happens. I am doing that.
Okay.
100%.
Cool.
Well,
Like
as soon as
hands
that
down.
pops up, I'm in.
My
No matter
daughter
what, I'm
came to
running
that,
it.
and we both jumped in on a couple laps
Oh, you
with
did?
him both
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Yeah. it's so awesome because everybody set up tents, you know, and it's not only the runner but the families and everything, and dude, that was fun.
Yeah, I drug my wife out to the second time I went to it, the third year, and I ended up timing out even earlier than the previous year. She gave me some shit for it, but which I needed. So,
Yeah.
but it was, you know, that event's fun, and especially for her too, especially the fact because she gets to see me every hour on the hour.
Yeah.
And any of the events that she's come to, the loop ones are always obviously the funnest ones for her. For me, it's the monotony of doing the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the one thing I look forward to the most with Western States is running from this point to that point.
Yeah.
And I don't got to see anything
point.
over again. Like Tahoe, I have to see 2 parts twice, but otherwise I only run the other sections. Like I want to say probably 50 miles. 50 miles of it is almost looped where you see the same stuff over.
Yeah.
But the other 50 miles, you only see that stuff once, in which that was the big draw. I love point to point, and it's just like...
It's like an adventure. Yeah. You're going somewhere.
Yep.
That's the other reason why I like McCullough is like, okay, I want to get a 10-mile run in.
Yeah.
I just have to go 5 miles that way.
Yep.
Now I have to go another 5 miles
yeah.
back.
You're already out of
I got to
bounds.
get back to the car.
Can't give yourself an out.
There's no outs out there.
Yep.
Whereas like running around the neighborhood or on a treadmill, you always have that mental lapse that could click in like,
done.
maybe today's going to be 6 instead of 10.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Well, that's the main reason why most of my training runs is I leave my house because I go 5 miles out.
Yeah.
I have to get home now, so now I have to complete my next 5 miles. I mean, that was probably my biggest mistake for Rocky Raccoon was the overtraining. Like, I had no experience. It was just like I kept increasing by 10%, and then like I was training for the end of 2020. That didn't happen, so I just continued training. I trained probably for like 8 months straight to get to Rocky Raccoon, and after running it, and then the next year doing Tahoe, in which I actually went on the Bitter's website, bought one of his plans, like, all right, I'm just going to follow this plan to the T.
Yeah.
And it scared the shit out of me on that one because I only got up to like 80 miles in a week, which for Rocky Raccoon, I got up to like 120 in my biggest
You
week.
were running that much?
Yeah, well, yeah. I didn't realize how much I
probably a
overtrained
lot of
until I
junk
ran.
miles.
And also the pace I was running at. I was running at like, I was trying to just squeeze extra miles in. So I'm just going to run this a little faster. I'm running like 9-minute miles, not realizing that I am just literally burning my body out.
Yeah.
For the Tahoe race, that was the biggest difference. I really didn't have any huge plateaus. Like it took me 33 hours, but with the elevation gain, I knew what I was getting myself into, cleaned out the 6 weeks leading up to the race, cleared out my entire diet, wasn't drinking, wasn't doing anything. Cause I was like, I know what I'm getting myself into with this elevation gain.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to complete this race. And I wanted that belt buckle.
Right.
That belt buckle is like the fact that like when I got onto the website and saw how it was made and like the press coin and like started doing the math of like how many of those belt buckles actually exist. I'm like, I want to be part of that club.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then being up there, seeing guys with like the 500-mile belts, and then I think we had one person I think completed it for the 10th time, and I forget what. Like it's like, I think I'm going to keep coming back to this race at least until I get to 500.
Yeah.
I want that belt. Like it's just I want to keep adding to the collection.
Yeah.
That was the big draw for me with the 100 miles was the belt buckles, like especially Western States.
Yeah.
I want that belt buckle.
It's so cool too because it's not only as a place that you can go with your family, you know, because you can go like all these cool places that you're probably going to go and camp anyways, but you get to like do an event with them, you know. Granted, you're like gone for part of it, but if they're if they're into like crewing you and stuff, I mean, you're with them all day, you know, and your kids see that and everything. It's really
Crewing's really fun.
That was the coolest thing about the finish for the Javelina this year. So coming into the main camp at the end. Yeah. So that was the first time I actually, because he technically was my pacer. We were running together, and then when I split off from him, I was by myself, obviously running the 4th loop, and then getting out to that 5th loop, hitting that 5th loop, coming back in. When I was at mile 90, getting out the Jackass, and then coming back in, that is the easiest run because everything's now slightly downhill.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, nice, beautifully groomed trails to where you
they
don't
have the aid station in the back that has the loud music. They're
Yeah,
doing,
that's Jackass Junction.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's where they got the
They're playing
dance
Tool
floor,
back
a
there and
bar.
stuff.
Oh yeah. That was the only thing I wish I would have done is actually I never stopped at the bar just to do like if anything, it was his one regret too. If he would have made it out to that aid station, he could have sat out there and waited for me to loop around.
Yeah.
And then we could have took a shot.
Yeah.
And then I would have continued.
I didn't think about it till afterwards.
Hindsight.
Yeah. I was like, dang, what I should have done is just kept walking to there. I would have definitely got there before you got there. And then maybe I would have been able to just finish the 100 with you. And I finished 80. And
this year.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but so coming back into that main camp, like as I got into it, like my son was standing there. It was the first time he was been at a race.
Yeah.
And
How
like
old's he?
he had a 5.
Okay.
So he was jazzed seeing me and like running that last like 3/4 of a mile, because I didn't realize how really long it was from that point of hitting the main camp to looping all the way down back up to the thing. But he ran with me the entire time, and like seeing the community too, because he ran that twice with me. He saw me 3 times. So the other times too, like he's running with me. He's got his Iron Man suit on because it's the Halloween race, and everyone cheering him on, like seeing his face light up, and like running across that finish line and then turning around, him running into me, like.
Yeah.
That I was extremely emotional at the end of that race. Like I was listening to Imagine Dragons, that's his favorite band. Like the last 10 miles, I'm like singing Imagine Dragons running through the canyon, sobbing by myself just in the middle of the mountain. I was just like, oh, that was
That was like, he's burning this one in. I think he's gonna remember this one.
Oh. Yeah, it's been cool to, like, with my daughter, she's been around this stuff her whole life. So like I know
now
it gives I know it gives her an edge in track and cross country, because like most kids, I feel like, think a 5K or running a mile really hard is like this crazy difficult feat, which it's, you know, it's better than not doing it at all.
Right.
But when you've got the perspective of going to a Beatty backyard and seeing people run a 4-mile loop over and over and over again for 24 hours, it's like, oh, like I think it definitely broadens your horizons and makes you realize like how much more is possible. Yeah. And then just seeing the culture of the running community, how encouraging everybody is, like makes you want to be a part of that community.
Yeah.
Like
that's another cool thing about that backyard format. Is that you're just chilling with those people.
It was amazing. I really like that format. The other crazy thing that happened at Javelina with this year was really cool. Courtney DeWalter shows up unannounced for her mom running the 100K.
Oh, for real?
So Courtney paces her mom.
Oh, yeah.
Her mom in her 60s runs the 100K for the first time. Courtney pacing her. We didn't even know this. We start the 100 miler, and on the second lap,
It was third loop. Because we came out of the main camp on the third loop, starting it, and
somebody
the first person
told
we ran across
us,
was like Courtney's Walter's right in front of you.
she
guys.
just
We're like,
passed
"Are you
us. We were
serious?"
like, wait, what? She's here? Like, and then they told us like she's pacing her mom, so she's not going very fast. You guys can probably catch up. So by the next aid station, she was in the aid station with her mom.
Yeah.
And for the next couple hours, every aid station, we would either take off a little bit before they did or after they did. We'd run into them again. And then for a little section, we were running right with them. And at one point, we had just passed them heading into the next aid station. And then we hear her behind us like screaming and yelling, "Yeah, go Zach!" And turn around and look, and we've got Courtney DeWalter cheering on Zach Bitter, who's running by, finishing his last lap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like, this is like so epic. Like, you're not going to get this anywhere, because if you're typically in a race with Courtney, you're going to see her one time. That's when she goes by you, and then you never see her again.
I have to ask, is the mom wearing the long shorts too?
Yeah, they were wearing. Oh, they were wearing the exact same outfit.
Yeah, they were matching for like Halloween.
Her mom was. Yeah, her mom was dressed up as her.
As her?
As her. They were wearing matching.
And she
clothes.
finished like
Oh,
well
yeah.
on that? Wow.
Yeah. So when we finished the 100K, they came in like a little bit after us.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so it was a good time.
Yeah. But no.
Yeah, that was crazy cool to see.
Yeah, being able to see her, and then also Bitter too, because Bitter was one I was already following. I was running his training plan when it comes down to it.
That's crazy.
And crazy part about that race was when we hit the third aid station. So we're about to finish our first loop. We just got in, getting our stuff, and all of a sudden, as we're about to leave, all of a sudden this dude just blows through the aid station, and there's people running behind him with cameras, and like, oh, there goes the leader, and like he's finishing his second loop, and it was just like, holy shit, like that. And like I think he finished in 12 hours and was 46 minutes,
Something like that.
and like by the time he got to the finish line, he stopped, did some squats. And like it was just like this jazz, and he broke the course record, and it's like it did it in 12 hours and 46 minutes. I'm like people are like, then when I tell them like I do ultra running, I do 100 miles, like that's crazy. I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah. Like I'm doing this like in 30 hours. I'm just getting in at the time. Like I finished in the golden hour. I finished at like 29 hours and like 16 minutes. So I got it done. Got my buckle. Got the qualifying points. That's all I was looking for. Yeah. And then you have guys like that are doing it in 12 hours. And I'm like, that guy's running. The entire time he is sprinting, and it's like watching it every time one of those guys pass me, and it's like the clip that they're running at. I'm like, good for you, sir.
Completely different experience, though, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're like completely done, and most of the people are out there still experiencing it for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of UTMB documentaries and stuff, you know, and that's just all those people that do that thing, and that's just like a huge, huge course, like.
The new one with Jim Walmsley is really good.
Yeah. I just watched that one too.
Yeah.
And I followed this guy. He's some YouTuber. I don't know. I just got through half of it yesterday, but he recorded the whole thing, like it was his first 100-miler. I'm pretty sure he finishes it. I haven't finished it yet, but he recorded the whole thing, like all of his qualifiers and all that, all the way into doing the race. And he's like cataloging the race as he's going through it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Oh, that's who else. That Javelina was also pretty cool. Billy Yang was out there.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
We crossed him at the course at one point while he was out recording a section, and
nice.
it was like, yeah, it's kind of funny following all the YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Seeing Jamil.
Yeah.
Air Vipa.
Yeah.
What that dude's doing with that organization is
it's grown.
impressive.
Dude,
The
crazy.
amount of video content they've created.
And they're
is-
like taking over Western states as far as the production of all that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's working with all that stuff.
Oh, that's
Yeah, he
awesome.
was heavily involved last year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Crazy.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
cool to be
we may
tied-
see Western states turn into like that European style, event one day, where they have that coverage that, like last year, were you
Yeah.
guys following it? It was pretty good.
Yeah, did you see Cocodona?
It's going on right now.
Yeah, have you seen the live coverage of
I
that?
haven't watched it yet.
It's insane.
Is it
They
good?
got drones everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like watching something on ESPN almost.
Yeah.
Like they got live coverage of everything that's happening with commentary.
this stuff
they
might
had
be
pretty
on
good
prime
commentary at
time,
Javelina.
I would say Javelina was at that clip this year. Like you can go on and they have the live streams of each aid
Yeah.
station. That like
Yeah.
I tried once. I might need to go back and do it again because I know what times I crossed. Like I can go back and look at what times I crossed certain aid stations.
Yeah.
And I want to go through there and I want to see myself go through those aid stations
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the coverage is there. They had
Yeah.
the drones above us.
Yeah, we had family
everything.
members saying, "Oh, we just seen you go," because they were watching the live coverage.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if people watch golf
Yeah.
on ESPN, they're gonna watch ultra running. I mean, it's actually pretty exciting when you're like cutting back and forth between different parts of the pack and stuff.
Yeah, I've always thought having some type of like drone business where you go out and pair up with someone like you
Yeah.
and offer drone coverage to racers that maybe pay extra in the package
Yeah.
to get. You could have people spread out however far you need to have the batteries changed, and
Yeah.
like somebody who's spending a year or two training for their first 100-miler. An extra $500 or whatever to
document
get
it?
get
Yeah.
better
That would be
documentation and
awesome.
drone coverage
The
of their
permitting,
race.
unfortunately, and
Yeah,
Red
it's a
Rock.
pain,
is just-
right?
I don't like
Yeah.
I could only
I figured that was a big part of why that is.
and they're gonna want like some part of that big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks that type of stuff is so hard. And It's
Yeah.
like it's just people out in the nature running. Like,
Yeah.
come on, don't make
Yeah,
it that
especially
hard.
when it's running. Like I can understand motorcycle racing, mountain biking to an extent, but you're essentially hiking, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like if you have to go out and do studies for people to hike across it. I mean, I understand. I'm a conservationist as well. I want to
Yeah.
see, our outdoor spaces stay the way that they are, not change. But at the same time, it's just like there's a middle ground.
Oh, most
we
definitely.
can. I mean, we have to be able to enjoy the space
Yeah.
too. Like people should be able to go out and enjoy the space.
We should be able to kind of model the hunting model in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Like make it to where there is like a little registration fee.
you could throw a
it's kind of like
tax on
Tahoe's
all-
doing.
well,
You
you-
got to go clean trails. Like
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Throw a tax on my running shoes, on all my
Yeah,
gear.
yeah.
I will gladly pay whatever if it's going towards what it's supposed to go
Right.
towards. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, essentially, you are when you're paying your registration fee.
Yeah.
A percentage of that is going to
that-
them. I mean, because
yeah.
they're getting paid. I mean, the government is getting more money out of an event than we are, than anybody else is.
That's-
I mean, I would say except for the awards and the shirts. That's like the top, but they're definitely up there.
All right, so I got one last question. I think this is a good spot will be a good spot to wrap it up to. Your first DNF.
I have only DNF'd one time, and it was actually just last summer. It was an Air Viper race, and it was Big Pine, I think, outside of Flagstaff. It's like, have you guys heard of that one? I just went up there with my son. We were hanging out. We were gonna go see the grandparents and stuff, and we just like signed up on the cuff to go do. I was gonna do the 50K the next day. He did the 6K the night before. We both ran that together. They do it at night, which is really cool.
oh, that is cool.
But I didn't even look at the course. I just started it and was out there running. And I think at mile 20 or something, there's a bunch of bunch of arrows and stuff. So you have to like really be looking at your mileage and your arrow, which you would, if you wanted to do well. But I just blew by a turn. I think I I wound up back at the start and finish, and I'm like, oh, it's 26 miles. I think I passed the turn. But they're like, yeah, dude. So I was like, nah, I'm done. And normally I probably wouldn't have done that, you know, like even a year ago, I would just like march my ass back out there and get like 35 miles, you know, but I wanted to go with the river, you know, so it just didn't matter to me. I was like, whatever. But
No, understandable. No.
but I think I've opened the door. I don't really, I think I kind of want to spend the rest of my time with running, you know, doing well if I can. So, I mean, I want, like I just did Whiskey Basin the other week, and I poisoned myself basically because I've been trying out a new nutrition plan. And for the first time ever, I got hyponatremic, which I thought was impossible for me because I sweat so much. But I went hyponatremic, and then after that, I just had GI issues forever, and it was bad, dude. It was bad. I was having to like run off the trail multiple times, and I still finished that one at 40. I was like sick as hell, just like, oh my God. But what I thought was kind of cool about that is that even having all the GI issues and stuff, it really slowed me down. I ran, 100-mile race pace still.
Yeah.
So it kept me within that range, which was good. So it's a good training day.
Yeah.
But beyond that, for like races that, you put your eye on, you want to go out and do, you want to do well. So, I mean, if you're not going to hit that goal, if that is your goal and you're not going to hit that goal, why not save for that next goal, the next opportunity to try to hit that again? Is the way I'm kind of looking at it now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll play with that for a while.
Knock on wood, I have yet to have any stomach issues.
Yeah.
In any of my races.
Me neither before that.
I've gotten very lucky, and like at the first Beatty backyard, I came out with 2 dozen pink box donuts.
Yeah.
Because at the time, like I'd leave my house, I'd go run, and like literally in the middle of my 18-mile run that I was trying, like my training runs, Pink Box was about 10 miles in, so I'd stop. I'd grab 2 donuts. I'd eat 2 donuts,
like
and then I'd go and I'd finish my run. And it's like my wife's like, "That doesn't seem too healthy." I'm like, "Yeah, but when it comes down to it, I'll be able to eat whatever I want. I'm used to eating this crap when it comes down to it, and I use that as a crutch just to be able to eat shitty food.
Yeah.
And then now I've gotten to the point where it's like, all right, I need to shave time off.
Yeah.
How am I going to shave time off? I need to clean up my fuel.
Yeah.
And I need to start
I feel like
dialing that
everybody's
in.
Start burning fuel. Yeah.
Yeah.
People were looking at us like we were crazy
at
the Beatty backyard because we had the big old box of the Pink Box. Every time he'd come in, I'd hand him one of those golden.
No way. That's how I started too, just like eating whatever. I think, I'm trying to like put, everybody's pushing in that 80 to 100 gram mark of carbs. That's what I'm trying to do. So I was trying to do that with goo. And like, cause I've always been using goo. I've always used Roctane, so I'm like, and I've never had a problem. So I've never really thought about nutrition, and then someone suggested, well, maybe you should push it up, So I was like, all right, so I'll just use goo to do that. So I started down in Roctane and then goo. I'm trying to do 4 packs an hour and all this stuff. And no, it's just not working. So I like immediately went and got Second Chance, I think is one of them. Got all these different ones. And like, I'm like blown away by where nutrition is right now. Like you can get gel packs that have 90 grams just in the one pack, and you just sip off of that one pouch. Have you guys seen this?
No, I haven't.
I mean, it's just amazing. So yeah, I'm just like trying the new stuff, and you get into like something that just works, and like you don't shop anymore for anything else. You're like, this works. Why would you don't even think about it, But then once something changes, and you're like, well, what if you did this? Then like this whole new avenue opens up. You're like, oh my God. So you start messing with this other stuff, and it, maybe it'll work.
No, that's probably definitely also the big jump I made from my first to my second 100 mile in Tahoe was like in Texas. I was eating Oreo cookies. I can't even tell you how many Oreos I ate during that race. It was an obscene amount because it was the one thing wasn't messing with my stomach, and I was just like, at least next aid station, I'm gonna grab some more Oreos. Yeah. And then in Tahoe, I switched to SF fuels, which is more of like a fat-based fuel. Yeah. That same thing. I'm falling bitter, so almost falling the same. Like that's the fuel he used. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a try. Yeah. And started training with it, and the only thing I had during that race was that, and then bacon and watermelon. Oh my God. And I felt like it got me through. And then when I got done with that race, my wife's like, you never looked like you were going to die. And I was like, felt good. I was tired at times. Like there were definitely 1 or 2 moments where I was looking at my pace. Like, hey, we might have to sit down because I might have to take a nap. Yeah. Only because like I I'm walking, and then I'm realizing that I'm walking. I'm sleeping while I'm walking, and we're walking down a hill right now. And I'm not trying to get that hurt. And, you know, being able to get to the next aid station and having my caffeine packs ready to where it's like, all right, what time is it right now? All right, let me throw back 300 milligrams, and now it's time to go to the bathroom, and let's get the hell out of here. That's the other thing I've been able to do really well is the timing of having to go to the bathroom, hitting it at the right time, where usually when I get up and train in the morning, I have a huge amount of caffeine, go to the bathroom, then go for my run. So it's like when that time starts approaching, it's like, all right, where's my next aid station? All right, I'm getting close. 300 milligrams of caffeine, let's go. As soon as I drink that, and body's like, all right, we need to go right now. And then good to go.
Then you're off on the trail again.
Yeah, I've gotten very lucky.
So I had one Sunday run with my daughter and her friend this year, where I didn't have my morning routine dialed in, and was like, we'll be all right. And I think we ate really bad that night, and I was like, you guys keep going, I'm gonna go find a rock, and I no longer
had to
have
be with her friend, right? Like, it had to be the weekend with the friend.
I've done that once up in McCullough Trail, and I left the bathroom, and I was like, do I think I have to? I'm like, no, I'm good. I think I got a mile out, and I was like, there's no way I'm making a mile back. Let me go find a nice area.
Dude,
but thankfully, I prepped myself, because as I left that area, I was like, you know what? I'm going to grab some tissue just in case.
Oh, was you ready to go?
And stick it in, and I stuck it in my pack. And then I was like, thank you, God, that I did that. Otherwise, I would have been coming back without a shirt.
Dude.
And just
I was fertilizing Sloan for like the last month, just trying to mess with this thing. Like, I was like having problems. And I actually went into Prescott thinking, oh no, it's just what I ate the night before. I'll be okay for Prescott. So I'm just going to try the same thing. No, same thing. So totally off that. And gut's good now that I changed.
Well, excited to see how you do at Western. Really grateful that you came on here. And super grateful for what you've done. No, you're good, man. Like, you were definitely one of the people that I was like, we got to get him on.
Yeah, this is cool.
Just what you've helped to contribute to the local running community with what you're doing with Desert Dash is greatly appreciated. Thanks, and seeing that you got on Western States that you're going to be doing it this year was like, we got to talk to him before Western. And we'll be cheering along while you're there this year, and hopefully we get to talk to you afterwards and kind of recap how it went.
Oh, I'm definitely going to want to pick the hell out of your brain after you're doing it, because like I said, that's to me, it's Western States or nothing. Like that's my goal. I am set on that I will not stop. And I don't think I'll stop running past getting into that one, because beyond that, I want to do Badwater. Like, I want to
do some other stuff.
I want to get into that stuff. But right now, I have my goal right now is Western. Get my qualifying in. Don't injure myself. Keep trained up. Get into Western.
For me, the biggest thing is being around all those people all day. You know, like that kind of gets in my head, because I just kind of like to be out by myself, you know, and I don't generally use too much crewing or pacing, because I'm like kind of like snippy, you know, or I could be, or I feel like I might be, you know, because I kind of just like to be in my head. But so it's going to be a different pace for me to be around that many people. I think that's why I probably haven't run Javelina, because I've been out there and I've seen like all the energy, just having to be around people every time you come in. It kind of gives me a little bit of trepidation. But
that's probably the only reason why I got, not the only reason, but that's one thing that was like not having a pacer on that one. It's fine. Because there's someone passing, or there's always, at nighttime you can see the trail of lights that goes, you can see it going to the next aid station and then leaving. So there's always someone around you. So it wasn't that bad at all. Cool. So, but we appreciate you coming on. We really do. People, you know how this works. Follow along, hit subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this one. This was definitely something we've been looking forward to, especially as soon as you got into Western States. Super jealous. But follow along, share, comment. We appreciate you guys coming along this journey with us and going forward.
Yeah, thank you. And if this sparked any kind of interest in getting out on the local trails or running any local races, check out Desert Dash. Great organization. They've run a bunch of cool races that we've been in, and always enjoyed it. The community out here is amazing. Thank you, everybody that was at Javelina that let us share tent with you. And that was really cool to have a big crew of people from Vegas that be supporting us while we were out there, and really appreciate it. So subscribe.
Have a good one, guys.